Our love for Jesus, and thus our desire to speak out, should never be outweighed by the longing of our fallen nature to be loved by the world.
Let me back into this and start with Travis Kelce. I think his comments just came out on their New Heights podcast in the last 24 hours. Let's play Travis Kelce distancing himself from a kicker who's more bold and honest and masculine than Travis Kelce. Play the clip.
Comes down to his views and what he said at the St. Benedict's commencement speech. Those are his. I can't say I agree with the majority of it or just about any of it outside of just him loving his family and his kids. And I don't think that I should judge him by his views, especially his religious views of how to go about life. That's just not who I am. I think I grew up in a beautiful upbringing of different social classes, different religions, different races and ethnicities in Cleveland Heights. And that's why I love Cleveland Heights for what it was. It showed me a broad spectrum or just a broad view of a lot of different walks of life. And I appreciated every single one of those people for different reasons. And I never once had to feel like I needed to judge them based off of their beliefs.
Yeah.
My household, my mother and my father both provided for our family, and both my mother and my father made home what it was. So they were homemakers and they were providers, and they were unbelievable at being present every single day in my life.
No doubt.
And I think that was a beautiful upbringing for me. Now, I don't think everyone should do it the way that my parents did, but I certainly and sure as hell thank my parents and love my parents for being able to provide and making sure that that home was what it was, because I'm not the same person without both of them being who they were in my life.
So Travis Kelce said a whole lot of nothing there because he has virtually no self-awareness. And that's not a personal attack on Travis Kelce. It's really an attack on the great wealth and fame and attention and adoration we pour on athletes. He has no reason to be self-aware. He thinks that, he's here and he's famous and he's rich and he's super successful because both of his parents worked outside the home. Because Travis Kelce is a knucklehead. If you followed his career as closely as I have, he's probably been in the league 10 to 12 years.
Let me cut in and add that I have also followed Travis Kelce's career since the beginning as a Chiefs fan, and I've been thinking about what Travis Kelce said, and I like what Jason Whitlock says here, because ultimately Travis Kelce is a dumb jock. I mean, that is a phrase for a reason, and I hate to say that because I love the guy as a football player. I've always kind of thought he danced like a black girl whenever he celebrated his touchdowns and stuff like that, which, whatever, it is what it is. But it was kind of cringe, for a guy to do that on a football field. But when you recognize how good of a player he is, you kind of just give him a pass, right?
He's a knucklehead. If he were not 6'5", if he were not 255 pounds, he would not be a rich and successful person that anybody cared about, in my view. He would be a dumb jock who was short, 5'11". He were normal size. The average height of a American man, I believe, is 5'10". 6'2" and above, that's like 12% of the population. Travis Kelce has athletic privilege. He hit the genetics lottery. Now he's rich and famous.
You gotta love, he just came up with a new term. He's got athletic privilege. He actually knows better. I would assume that he knows better. But Travis Kelce didn't just get to where he is because he's 6'2" or whatever, the size that he is. Being a successful NFL football player, especially one that's been a high caliber player like Travis Kelce has for the amount of time, especially, that takes a lot of hard work and dedication. You do also need to be blessed with good genes.
Now he gets to pretend like he has some sort of mature, sophisticated perspective on the world. He does not. Because of the social media pressure, and he's thinking about how these words will land on social media, he has to take Harrison Butker out of context. Harrison Butker did not say women should not work outside the home. Harrison Butker just insinuated, or not insinuated, he told young women at St. Benedictine College, a Catholic college, that the Catholic faith leads him to believe and teaches him that the greatest fulfillment for a woman is being a mother. That's her purpose. Be a helpmeet for a man, be a mother to many children. That's where the greatest fulfillment comes from.
So check this one out real quick from Daily Mail. Harrison Butker compares himself to a saint as he doubles down on misogynistic commencement speech in which Kansas City Chiefs star told female graduates to focus on being homemakers, which ultimately he went on to thanking his wife for playing that role in his family and their family, because he admitted that he would not be able to be where he is, as successful as he is, and in the position to provide for the family that he does, like he does, if it wasn't for her help. Acknowledging that as a team and not belittling her position in the family one bit. So Kansas City Chiefs star kicker Harrison Butker has compared himself to a saint as he doubles down on his speech over at Benedictine College that we've all heard. If you haven't heard it, you should. On Friday night, he doubled down on his remarks, comparing himself to Saint Daniel during a speech at Regina Academy event in Nashville, Tennessee. He told the event, "Over the past few days, my beliefs, or what people think I believe, have been the focus of countless discussions around the globe." And he responds to the backlash in this viral video here that let's take a look at now. And he was met with a wild amount of applause as the event began. Let's go ahead and check out a little bit of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Means a lot. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here in support of Regina Academy. It's been great to see a lot of friends here tonight and to meet so many of the families that attend our centers across the country. Going into my second year as a board member, I can tell you there is an exciting future ahead with plans for expansion and new leadership. It's safe to say that RCA has the potential to lay a solid foundation for a legion of future saints. Thank you to Charlie McKinney for joining us on the journey and for hitting the ground running from day one. I especially would like to recognize Nicole Juba for her years of dedication to RCA and its mission. She's provided a steady hand. Yes, thank you. She's provided a steady hand over many years, and I know I speak on behalf of the entire board when I say that we are thankful for her leadership. Lastly, this night has been made possible because one woman has tirelessly dedicated herself to its success. Thank you, Alyssa Walsh, for the many hours you... There we go.
One of the first things he starts out with is thanking a woman who worked tirelessly at putting this all together, right? And interestingly enough, he didn't act like she was doing anything wrong, contrary to what the left would have you believe. But let's continue.
Thank you for the many hours you and your team have worked to make tonight possible. Lastly, I would like to recognize Canon Commons and Father Akers for being here and supporting RCA. The fraternity and the institute have both been instrumental in my formation as a husband and as a father. The theme for tonight's gala, Courage Under Fire, was decided many months ago, but it now feels providential that this would be the theme after what we have all witnessed these past 2 weeks. If it wasn't clear,
You gotta love how God works things out, right? If you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, share this video, turn on notifications, and let me know what you think in the comments. Let's get back to it.
that the timeless Catholic values are hated by many, it is now. Over the past few days, my beliefs, or what people think I believe, have been the focus of countless discussions around the globe. At the outset, many people expressed a shocking level of hate, but as the days went on, even those who disagreed with my viewpoints shared their support for my freedom of religion. In my 7 years in the NFL, I've become familiar with the positive and negative comments, but the majority of them revolve around my performance on the field. But as to be expected, the more I've talked about what I value most, which is my Catholic faith, the more polarizing I have become. It's a decision I've consciously made and one I do not regret at all. If we have truth and charity, we should trust in the Lord's providence and let the Holy Ghost do the rest of the work. Our love for Jesus, and thus our desire to speak out, should never be outweighed by the longing of our fallen nature to be loved by the world. Glorifying God and not ourselves should always remain our motivation, despite any pushback or even support. I lean on those closest to me for guidance, but I can never forget that it is not people, but Jesus Christ who I am trying to please. I'm humbled by the support I've received from all walks of life, but I can't help but tremble at the thought of the courage many saints have shown in their lives. Would I be so bold if the repercussion was what Daniel faced in being fed to lions? In reality, any courage I've shown will lead to some small suffering, and it will lead to some people maybe never liking me, but that could be God's will. If I constantly remind myself of the hardships the saints went through, especially the martyrs in their persecution, it makes it all seem not so bad. For if heaven is our goal, we should embrace our cross, however large or small it may be, and live our life with joy to be a bold witness for Christ. My hope is that tonight's theme and RCA's mission will embolden others, that many more will be unapologetic of their Catholic faith and never be afraid to speak out for truth, even when it goes against the loudest voices. In the end, being courageous starts with the small things. Being disliked and mischaracterized by some is nothing compared to finding yourself in a lion's den. Thank you. Lastly, it's great to see my friend, President Steve Minnis. I would be remiss if I didn't thank him for his courage and his friendship. Thank you again for being here tonight. To the Heights.
Okay, so another speech that I don't necessarily disagree with. So there's a lot of people kind of disagreeing over whether Kelce actually supported Harrison Butker or not. I'm going to go ahead and play pretty much the full 2 minutes that he spoke on it from his New Heights podcast. But the one line that people can't get over, and I wish he wouldn't have said this part or included this part, because ultimately Patrick Mahomes, who had Harrison Butker's back, he even had to add the little caveat, I don't necessarily agree with everything that he said, right? In my opinion, from what I observe, is that Patrick Mahomes' wife is ultimately a homemaker. She raises the two kids, and she does everything that she needs to do to allow Patrick to be the greatest football player on the planet. They're a team. There's no shame. There's no shade. There is nothing wrong with the things that she does at home in that role. And yeah, I know she makes money on the side, probably with social media and, maybe some endorsement type of thing. I know she was in the Sports Illustrated, or I think she was in Sports Illustrated. I don't know. I haven't seen a magazine for decades. But I'm sure she got paid for that, right? So, she has income coming in, but her role in their family is ultimately to raise the kids and make sure that Patrick has everything that he needs so that he can be who he is. The line that Kelce said that is dividing people is, quote, I can't say I agree with the majority of it or just about any of it outside of just him loving his family and his kids. So the main part there is that I see, and it kind of struck me in a wrong way. Why say that part? And I get it why he's saying that, is because he has all these sponsors and he's afraid of, losing the woke crowd with this, Taylor Swift and all that stuff, which I love that whole scenario. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing Taylor Swift to the Chiefs games. I like all the extra buzz that it gives the environment there. But it's just a shame that he had to say it, or just about any of it, which means that he's pretty much opposed to everything that Harrison Butker said. And when you're a person like me in my position, you see the world as a battle of good versus evil. And you hate to see teammates bickering in this type of manner, which I believe Travis Kelce is just kind of a dumb jock, and he had to include that, or he felt he had to include that, even though overall his message was in support of Harrison Butker. And just a side note, I want to mention that the very first player that I saw come to Harrison Butker's defense was Chris Jones, the huge defensive tackle. I guess he's a defensive tackle. I mean, he pretty much plays on the whole line, but defensive line, just complete total monster, beast in a good way. And he came out and pretty much right away tweeted or posted on X that Butker was his guy. So I love that. He didn't have any hesitation. He didn't need to consort with a publicist or anything like that, which I kind of think that maybe some of these other players did, or they might have at least gotten some advice from the team. But Chris Jones does his own thing. He walks his own path, and I appreciate that. I'd like to hear more from him, actually, as an individual and his beliefs, but that's just a side note. Let's just go ahead and play this 2 minutes and 5 minute clip here from his podcast and listen to the full context of Travis Kelce's words. And so we'll just go ahead and do that now.
I call him Harry. I probably might be the only person that calls him Harry, but that just tells you how. I mean, I've known him for 7+ years, probably 8+ years.
Yeah.
And I cherish him as a teammate. I think Pat said it best, where he is every bit of a great person and a great teammate. He's treated friends and family that I've introduced to him with nothing but respect and kindness. And that's how he treats everyone.
Yeah.
When it comes down to his views and what he said at the St. Benedict's commencement speech, those are his. I can't say I agree with the majority of it or just about any of it outside of just him loving his family and his kids. And I don't think that I should judge him by his views, especially his religious views of how to go about life. That's just not who I am. I think I grew up in a beautiful upbringing of different social classes, different religions, different races and ethnicities in Cleveland Heights. And that's why I love Cleveland Heights for what it was. It showed me a broad spectrum, or just a broad view of a lot of different walks of life. And I appreciated every single one of those people for different reasons. And I never once had to feel like I needed to judge them based off of their beliefs.
Yeah.
My household, my mother and my father both provided for our family. And both my mother and my father made home what it was. So they were homemakers and they were providers. And they were unbelievable at being present every single day in my life.
No doubt.
And I think that was a beautiful upbringing for me. Now, I don't think everyone should do it the way that my parents did, but I certainly and sure as hell thank my parents and love my parents for being able to provide and making sure that that home was what it was, because I'm not the same person without both of them being who they were in my life.
Travis Kelce's parents had to work so hard and both have jobs and be homemakers because society is tough on the family. We get taxed way too much. We get a lot of pressures from paying the bills. This Biden economy is a great example. Everything is inflated. It pretty much requires both the man and the woman, or both partners of a relationship, however you want to say it, to work full-time job, or one person to be extremely successful in order to just pay bills and get by. And that's not even including if you want to have kids and have a family and try to actually set yourself up for retirement. And with that, you guys, I'm going to ask that on your way out, you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.